Our next speaker is someone who believes that visibility alone is not enough because being seen doesn't automatically create sustainable success. And too many women are showing up, working hard, building platforms, and still struggling to translate their expertise into consistent revenue and long term impact. Dr. Staci Moore, known as the Operator, is a revenue strategist, an AI companion architect, and the founder of the Royal Table Queens, which is an ecosystem designed to connect women to resources, relationships, and revenue strategies that create legacy level influence. With more than 30 years of experience across corporate leadership, entrepreneurship, Dr. Moore has worked alongside six, seven, and eight-figure business owners to optimize systems, increase visibility, and activate new revenue opportunities. But what makes her approach unique is the way she blends strategic business growth with relationship dynamics, leadership development, generative AI to help women transform their voice into scalable influence and sustainable income. Her philosophy is rooted in what she calls sacred systems and strategic results, the belief that growth should not only be measurable, but also intentional and aligned. Dr. Moore is also a Global Humanitarian Award recipient and a certified relationship coach who is passionate about helping women lead with clarity, confidence, and conviction in both business and life. Her session today is Voice to Revenue, turning visibility into strategic income for women leaders. Dr. Moore will share with us some practical strategies to help us identify revenue opportunities, strengthen our messaging, and build systems that turn visibility into meaningful and consistent income. If you've ever wondered how to move from simply being present online to building real authority, this session is for you. So please join me in welcoming Dr. Staci Moore to the Stronger Together Summit.
All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Anna, for that warm introduction and for the opportunity to be here. When I saw the opportunity to be part of this, I was so excited because this is right down my lane. It has been for years. So I am Dr. Staci Moore, aka the Operator, and I'm going to talk to you a little bit about voice to revenue. And this is about visibility and our understanding of what it is, whether we are working in the workforce at corporate or whether we are working as an entrepreneur, or even let's take this to in your own home and in your community. So we're not going to do as much with that. We're going to focus mostly on the entrepreneur. Throughout the slides and presentation, you'll see the options for corporate and what these different elements that I'm going to discuss mean for that. But it's an opportunity for us to understand that our voice is so important. And when we start thinking about revenue, or when we look to scale, if we already have a business, if we're looking to go up the ladder, if we're in corporate, our voice is what gets us there. And so silence right now, even with all of the things going on globally, is not what we want to do. And so I'm happy to have the opportunity to share a little bit about how your voice can turn your visibility into strategic influence. And that's going to get you to, in this case, revenue and also just success. Founder of Royal Table Queens. And this is what we do in talking about visibility, credibility, and then legacy. So the reality for many women is that you're highly capable, under recognized, and I know that there are some women out there feeling that visible but not positioned. And there is a difference between visibility and then being positioned. No sustainable systems. And so on the corporate side, usually you do have systems that are in place. That's for corporate. That's not for you. Understand that you fill a position at a corporation. So those systems are set up for that title, not for you as a person, as a human, as a woman. So just keep that in mind. And then as an entrepreneur, you have to establish what your systems are and sustain them. And then that also goes for the home life. You're the one that's creating the structure, the framework, all of the systems about how things are going to operate, but sustaining that is what's not happening. And you're exhausted by trying to prove yourself. And I know there are many people out there that understand that. How many times have you filled out an application and you overlooked the application or looked at your resume again to say, am I hitting the mark? Have I put the extra something in there so I'll be the chosen one? What else can I add to it to prove that I am a good fit for that position? If you're an entrepreneur, then you're saying, yes, I'm out here on the internet streets. There are other people doing what I do. So, how do I create that unique selling position or a USP that puts me in a position that stands out where somebody says, I want to work with her? And then at home, we're still doing the same thing as women. We're still figuring out how to work with the teenagers that are not wanting to spend the time with us anymore, but we want to spend the time to make sure that they're doing the right things or dealing with a partner in the household. And how do you continue after all these years? In some cases, for many of us, how do you still prove that the love is there, that the care is there, that you want to be there? Or want them to be with you. So visibility alone is not going to solve the problem. Women in entrepreneurship and in corporate leadership are carrying extraordinary levels of responsibility. Now, if you're carrying a lot of weight or if any of that's resonating with you, I would love you to put a one inside of the chat box. If you were feeling any of those comments, not having sustainable systems, needing to prove yourself, please, because I want other people to understand that they're not alone, because that's what this is about. So visibility without strategy, and we talked about there's a separation. So visibility without strategy leads to pressure. And so when you think about and hear about burnout and exhaustion, and I have to say earlier this week, I was absolutely in that position where I had to give myself a timeout and say, hey, you need to do some things differently. But the pressure is on then if the strategy isn't in place. And what happened was I did fall out of strategy. I've done a shift in my business as an entrepreneur, and I have not gotten in the proper rhythm yet, and I was paying for it at the beginning of this week. So, but being seen without intention leads to exhaustion, overextension, and opportunities that never materialize. And if you're an entrepreneur, I know that you've seen that. I know that you've seen the post and you've done 30 days straight of post, and there's been no conversion, some engagement, but no conversion. And it exhausts you because it's draining energy out of you, even though you're not doing extra work behind that. But then you feel that pressure because of the energy drain. And then, but visibility with alignment creates opportunity. So when systems are set up to assist you, and I often use AI, and I know good Dr. Anna talks about that as well, about allowing those type of system things, AI, to assist you in getting alignment, the opportunities come a little bit easier because you have that extra partner. So you can retain some of that energy back for you so that you can be in a better position, so that your vibration can be different. And then you approach things differently. Strategic positioning transforms presence into advancement. That's when we have better influence. You can tell the difference. Your team can tell the difference. Even those people on the other side of your post feel the difference. And the session is about understanding the difference between simply being seen and then being strategically positioned for influence, advancement, and revenue. That's how I'm here. This is exactly that. This is positioning for me, and hopefully, the information that I give will accompany in positioning you, giving you more influence. We're talking about how to close the visibility gap, converting expertise into opportunity, and that sustainability component because it's so huge. I know that as women, we are filling lots of hats, and there are probably a few of you that were saying when I mentioned corporate, I was talking about you. When I mentioned entrepreneurship, I was talking about you. And I mentioned about the family pressure as well. I was talking about you. So I want to say that I empathize and that I understand that I see you And then I hear your cry. And we just hope throughout the whole summit that you'll gain some strategies, some influence, some confidence that will put you in a different position to feel better about yourself, to have that exude out to the people that you work for and with, and that you give that back into someone else as we move along, because we're going to tag team on these things. So this is where it gets down to the nitty gritty. And this is the visibility gap. So when we talk about the differences between the visibility and the positioning, these are the kind of differences we're going to address. Attention. We want attention, or that's what we say. We're looking for attention, attention at work. Somebody needs to notice the extra thing that we did or the extra hour that we stayed after work. That's what we're looking for. This is the typical. They need to see us busy. If we're not posting on social media, if they don't see you posting, they don't think that you're busy. If you don't have conversions or engagement, then they don't think that you're busy. How are you known at your job? Do people know you by your name in addition to your title? Do they know what you do, or what's that expertise that you bring to the table, or why they call you into the conference room instead of someone else? Performing, we want our performance to be good. KPIs are important on the corporate side and on the entrepreneurial side, and even not as they're listed, but even when it comes to home. If you are not picking the kids up from school, or if you're not attending their activities, if you don't have other family members over, or all of that, that's the performing component of it that society and environment has led us to believe is important. Networking, that's visibility, that's spending time either online or offline, talking to other people who may end up being a good fit for what you do or for your company, or actually for creating a partnership or a joint venture. And so that's important. And then even networking as a parent with other parents in case there's things that go on at schools. So you have somebody else to pick up the child, and all of those things in the neighborhood, kind of a watch. Posting. Now, this is really on the side of the entrepreneur. So if you're not posting, if you are not putting up, what you're doing and what's going on in your life and what you have for breakfast and all of that, it's visibility, and it is about credibility and that old know, like, and trust. We get it. So I'm not saying these aren't important, just saying that they're not as important as you may have thought they were. And then followers. Followers are people that are following you because they either want to get to know you better, or they're looking to see if you're a good fit for them to buy a service from or a product from. But some followers are just support. We know that we have early on with Facebook, especially, you're talking about friends and family members that created your followers. And then over time, with the evolution of the actual platform, followers now become people that you sell to in addition to that. But let's look at how different the strategic positioning is. And so when we talk about authority, now we're so hearing this terminology called trust recession, meaning that people want to know who you are, they want to know who you serve. They want to know how you serve them. And they want to know the results that you have actually gotten from people that you have served before. They also want to know that somewhere else, other than just on your social media pages, you exist and other people know you for what you say you do. So that authority is different than just getting attention. It means that you have to do more work than you did before in order to get the same results that you could have gotten about 5 years ago. When it comes to even corporate, this is now, you don't just do your job. This is, how well do you do your job? Do other people know you doing that job and for that job? Are there things about the way that you either manage people or manage products that are different, that can be used as an accelerator for the corporation? Have you incorporated AI? We know that it's coming. We know that it's here. We know that it's in progress now. So, how are you utilizing that to assist you with what you're doing and not to take over what you're doing? Intentionality is another thing. So before, being busy was good enough. People see I'm on a summit, I'm in the streets, I've written a book, but now it's about intentionality. Why are you doing these things? What message are you relaying to your actual audience? With the intention as well, what do you intend for them to get out of it? The WIIFN, What's in It for Me channel or station, that's what they're looking for now. And with your strategic positioning, that means that you're not busy, you're cutting out some of the fluff, you're cutting out some of the noise and some of the distractions. Those are things that take away from that core lane that gets you to your results quicker. And if we're talking about revenue, then it's the same intention. Your intent is to create revenue, but in order to create revenue, you need to fill a gap for somebody else, whether it's the corporation or whether it is your consumers or clients. So being very intentional about what you do and how you do it. Being respected is big now. We're seeing a lot of things on social media about respect and respect being challenged. And knowing that as a public figure, which you are, if you are on social media or you're an entrepreneur and you are posting, you're a public figure. So being mindful of what type of content you put on your social media, even if it's personal content, and we may say, this is personal, this is about me, but understand it's still received socially. Corporations, more times than not now, are taking a look at the social media. Can they find you? What do they see about you? Are any of the things that you're posting against the values, the mission, and the vision of the company? We're looking for that alignment. As an entrepreneur, your consumers are looking for the same thing. They're also looking for, have other people elevated you in the position that you're in? What are the testimonials? What are people saying about you? And then even what are people saying behind closed doors? We talk about the BTS or behind the scene in showing people what's going on. What are other people capturing of you behind the scenes as well? In leading, these things are kind of wrapping together. You're talking about strategic relationships, positioning, and opportunities. These are things that have to constantly be looked at. Who are you relating to? Who are you talking to on the social media streets out there? What are they saying about you? How are you leveraging your relationship with them? Is it partnership? Is there a partnership capability? Is it because you know that this person can potentially be a client? Is it possibly for a sponsorship or positioning in that manner? Inside of a corporation, you're still creating relationships. Cross departments need to help each other. And especially if you're talking about sales and marketing or social media and marketing, or if you're talking about the strategy that needs to be relayed to managers and that communication that happens. The better your relationships with your peers, then the better that you're going to be able to relay or communicate something that's coming with corporate. And then the same with your employees. How are you positioned? Again, on the entrepreneurial side, are other people positioning you to be in rooms where you have no idea they exist? That's what this is about. That's how these things happen. That's what's so encouraging about this summit is that now we've been positioned to be able to speak to you to help position you. We're positioning each other. We're creating relationships and strategic partnerships with each other. Some of us that didn't know each other. That's the power of it. The opportunities that come out of that. The opportunities that would not have existed if one person, and we talk about the power of one, if one person decided not to do this, how many people would be affected by that? So if you're sitting here right now going, ooh, that's true, and you just had a name come to mind of somebody that should have been in the room with you right now to hear these conversations and to improve their leadership, whether it's at home, at work, or their own business, then I'm going to encourage you to, we're going to pause this moment and I'm going to say, text that person, get that person the information so that they can get in the room. And if they can't get in the room now, that they can be part of the remainder. And if they can't, then they need to get the replay. This is important. This is the strategic positioning versus the visibility. And so if you're not in the room or somebody doesn't share it with you, then you don't know. So take that time right now while I'm going on to the next screen and contact that person. I don't mind. You can still hear me. It's important. Leadership challenges across corporate and entrepreneurship is mainly what we've been talking about. And so I'm going to focus in on entrepreneurship, but you can see the details for corporate leadership as well. We know that building audiences without revenue pathways is something that coming into entrepreneurship, we commonly do. We're looking at how can I please? What things can I sell? Who am I going to sell to? What platform am I going to be on? But the actual revenue component of it, unless you're totally coming in driven by revenue, is not the consideration. We're looking at establishing ourselves first. We're looking at those visibility components that we talked about. We're looking for attention. We're looking for somebody to validate us. We're looking for um, proof or trying to prove to someone that we are worthy of selling online. The content creation, posting about all of our products and services to the different platforms day in and day out, like they say, creating a 9 grid, all of the different things, but not leading to engagement and not leading to conversion. This is a challenge that we find, but the consistency behind the content creation still has to be strategically positioned. And that's different than just giving the output. That's different than saying, I'm just going to create 30 days worth of content without the focus on who your audience is, without the focus on what is the offer that you're going to make that connects all of this, the through line for it. The content can be placed out there over and over again, but it's not going to even take care of the visibility part. The attention may be there, the scroll stopping graphics with AI, the playing field is being leveled on that, where your graphics were stopping scrolls and people were giving you compliments on what they look like. That's now leveled out by AI being able to do the same thing for the next person that shows up in the feed. So how is your content different? What's that unique selling position or USP that makes it different? And is that coming out to your audience? The elements of the uh, troubles, the things that keep them up at night, the resources, the steps to go through. Trust recession is here, showing up 27 to 31 times before somebody clicks to say, I'll give you my information. Not even money getting to that factor yet. So those are important components that get missed. And then taking that on to the difficulty translating your expertise to your scalable offer or to create scalable offers. The offer has to be established first, and that sustainability happens when the foundation is set. You cannot scale something or should not scale something that is broken. We like to talk about putting fire, adding fuel to a fire. But if it's a bad scenario of a fire, meaning it's going to be something that's going to take out the forest and take out houses, is different than lighting fuel to a fire that is going to provide food. So you want to make sure that the foundation is set straight first. So the difficulty in being able to voice the vision, the mission, the pillars, who it is that you serve, how you serve them, your methodologies, the frameworks that you use, all of those have to be in place first in order for you to then scale them. But scaling by using affiliate relationships, ambassadors, joint ventures, strategic partnerships, being able to take over somebody else's social media, even email campaigns. Those are types of things that can assist in scaling your offer, but your expertise, that credibility, that authority that shows up on the strategic partnership side and on that strategic positioning side, that's what's crucial for this side of the challenge. So being valuable and being positioned are not the same thing either. And with this, I'm just going to say that the strategic positioning is the bridge between the value you carry and the opportunities you deserve. You have to understand the value that you bring to the table. And we can get frustrated by it. We can cut our prices. We can discount our prices. We can give away free. And we have to understand where that fits. You also still have to understand that if you're giving something away free, it doesn't mean that it doesn't hold value. Bridging that is important. And the value without positioning is invisible to the rooms that matter. You came here as a free opportunity. The value inside of these sessions are far superseding zero, of course. So now it's what you do to leverage it. And each one of us that are presenting know that there's value in what we're bringing to the table, that someone can leave the room changed, changed for today, tomorrow, or forever. But that's the important thing. And so understanding the strategic positioning is different than if we were just to go on live on some platform where our audience wasn't and just decided to deliver the same content. And so your voice is more than communication. I like to say that I am the voice for those that don't have one until they have the wisdom to know that they do. And I do that because many women throughout the years have held back from saying what they actually feel, how they actually feel, what they actually want, what they desire. Those things have been silenced, whether it was self decision, self inflicted, or whether they felt that it was someone else that didn't allow them to speak, or that they grew up in an environment where that wasn't acceptable in certain areas of their life. Those things aren't discussed in the family. With business, there are certain things that are expected if you're in a certain industry or by gender. And then, of course, getting to corporate, well, there are already certain standards that are set up. There are ways that they already do certain things. In some cases, it's not received well if you decide to bring another opinion to the table. But your authority, your clarity, your confidence, and your credibility all depend on you having a voice and using it. The way you show up in meetings, on stages, in content, and in conversations is actively shaping how others perceive your readiness for the next level. And that includes your clients and consumers that are out there watching you. Another reason why in the trust recession, they're looking for you to talk about the challenges as well as the milestones that you've accomplished. They want to know that you've had some struggle, because if they're going to be your client and they may have some struggle, how do you cope with that? Are you looking for them to be an A student all the time? Or do you understand that you may have to work with them? Do you understand real life? So bringing up real life experiences when you're posting. having real life conversations with your supervisor about what's going on. Not that you tell them all of your business, but that you relay and articulate to them using your voice where you are and what type of things may be affecting your performance, your punctuality in advance. And on the corporate side of it, the opportunity to have maybe an employee assistance program feature or something that may be assisting to you that you didn't know about may be the break that you need. But you don't know what you don't know. And so the voice is also then how you're remembered. If you were silent in the boardroom meeting and you had a lot to say when you came out, that speaks to you. If you are silent in the home and you go outside and you communicate with other people about it and not with the people that need to hear it, it matters. And as an entrepreneur, we know that we can do a lot of complaining out here on these internet streets. But are we talking to the right people to get assistance to change the results instead of staying where we are? And so this is just the voice framework. I'm going to go over each one of the letters, and that's it. You can see what's on here, and we may give you an opportunity to have the slides as part of my presentation. But visibility is the V of the voice framework. Um, we've talked about that, but we also know that it goes beyond that. But we've got to start somewhere. The opportunity needs to come, but that comes with your communication, your strategic relationships, and all of that leadership stuff. And then we have identity, which is the I. And of course, that is the center of all of this, right? When you have, when you have the I strategically placed in the middle of the word, you know that you are the center of all of the change and all of the things that can happen. You are the thermostat. You control the temperature, not just the thermometer. So that's your confidence and your clarity that determine what's going on. And the credibility is something that's huge right now with the trust recession in your messaging, in your behind the scenes, and what people say about you, and in an ecosystem. Where can people find you? Where are your support system? Where are you looking for more leadership? Where are you looking to grow? Who are you looking to influence and help? So the strategic visibility in action, speaker opportunities, client acquisition, brand authority, scalable revenue streams, all of these things are measurable. And so in order to increase the revenue, you need to start at a point and it has to be measurable. Are you measuring these things? Are you setting a goal for speaker opportunities? Are you setting a goal for client acquisition? With your brand authority, are you setting goals for where you're going to be seen or how you want to be seen? That's podcast, and that's also contributing to magazines. That's other speaking engagements. And then scalable revenue streams. Looking at your revenue that you are bringing in now, what is scalable? Is it scalable by offering a better system in the back end, by utilizing AI so that you can actually reach more people? Or is it scalable because you can now reach more people by showing up as the talent more often because you have less of the chores to do? Is it scalable because now you can create a joint partnership because you know how to create those strategic relationships? And that's going to expand your revenue by having cross audiences and someone else to work with you that fits in the gaps of the skills you don't have. So sustainable visibility matters, and women don't need constant visibility by itself, I'm going to say. They need sustainable visibility because the sustainability is where we tend to fall off more often than men do. So our intentional presence is what people want. And sustainable doesn't mean every day. It means by your energy by your bandwidth and by your boundaries, is this sustainable for you? You set the cadence, you set the rhythm, you set the path, and your audience follows that. So the strategic visibility rhythm is the presence, and then your pathway, and then your process. So this is important because you need to follow through this rhythm over and over again. It's the showing up, it's the how you're showing up, the way, the path, the platforms, all of that. It's the process that you go through. And is that sustainable to your body, to your nervous system? Can your energy sustain it? And when we understand that there needs to be a change, do we make the adjustments? Because as women, we tend to continue on. We go on and on and on, and that leads us to the burnout. That presence path with corporate, at least advancement and promotion, leadership invitations, and sponsorship. On the entrepreneurial side, that's more consultations, more discovery calls, partnerships, collaborations, speaking engagement, and brand deals. Doesn't it just sound like money? If it sounds like money, put a dollar sign in the chat right now. On the corporate or the entrepreneurial side, your presence, where you show up is important. We talked about that earlier. In the systems that carry weight, you can take a snapshot of this. Um, it's a lot of content, but relationship management, automation, all of these things affect revenue. Visibility planning, the follow-up systems, the client onboarding, and strategic communication on the side of entrepreneurship. But this is a rhythm, and the systems need to be in place, and they allow your nervous system to relax so that you're not fight and flight. That's not your name. These things are to assist you. And so if you're missing something here, then that's where you need to start. Your voice will carry farther and have more impact if these systems are in place. And so the final reflection is, what changes when your visibility finally aligns with your value? As we went through the presentation and we talked about visibility versus strategic positioning, we talked about knowing your value and bridging the gap to get to the revenue. When these things meet together and your visibility turns into the strategic positioning and you carry that value with you all the time, things become very consistent. And we don't want to tire ourselves out by fighting through social media, by trying to get on 20,000 podcasts. We want to show up strategically, starting with your voice, figuring out your energy, what feels good to you, your rhythm, your strategic rhythm, making sure that the content is directed at your audience, that they understand and find you to be credible, they respect you. And the strategy needs to honor who you are and the full weight of what you carry. That's what builds the systems that you can lie down on, like literally. And so I hope that out of this, there's something that resonated with you. You should not have to exhaust yourself to be recognized. We shouldn't have to post 30,000 times on social media. You shouldn't have to continue to raise the and say, look at me, look at me. There should be a silent vibration that attracts the people that you're designed to work with. The goal is not to be seen everywhere. It's to be positioned where your voice creates impact. And so again, thank you very much, Dr. Anna, for the opportunity to be part of this summit. We know that right now leadership more than ever is needed by women. We need to call you out of your skin and just show up for yourself, your family, your community, your clients, your corporations. So I've created an ecosystem that is an opportunity for you to be part of something that assists with this. And that's where you can find me. And it's royaltablequeens.com. You can find me on social media at the operator or at Dr. Staci Moore, depending on the platform. And you can find me following Dr. Anna because leaders follow leaders. We know when to lead and when to follow. And this has been a great opportunity. Dr. Anna, you are an absolute leader. And I look forward to following you into more and more spaces. Operator out.
Thank you, Dr. Staci Moore. Thank you so much for sharing your wisdom and your message with us today. What I appreciate so much is the way that you helped us think beyond visibility alone and truly focus on sustainable influence and alignment and long term impact. In today's world, many of us are showing up consistently. We're working hard, we're building platforms, but we are struggling to communicate our value in ways that create real momentum. And I think your message today was such an important reminder that growth should not just be measurable, but it should also be intentional, strategic, and aligned with who you are becoming as a leader. So, thank you again. Thank you for sharing your insight, your energy, and your leadership with our audience today. And for everyone joining us, be sure to scan the QR code on the screen, use the link in the chat, access the free gift that she's sharing with us today. You can also continue following and learning from her on LinkedIn and social media. And as always, if today's conversation sparked questions, ideas, reflections, please continue to put your questions in the Q&A box so that she can respond to you directly. Thank you again, Dr. Staci Moore, for coming and speaking with us today at the summit.